Good morning and welcome back. How magical are these mini roses? Oh, they make me so happy. That colour and the ruffle of the petals. Gosh. And then this one here, also looking beautiful. These ones are almost done now, but they were spectacular. And just flipping to the other side, oh, I did want to show you. The little turtle ended up out here amongst this little cluster of pots. Gosh, apologies for the wind sound. It is very breezy today, but how cute is he there? And then, in exciting news, I'm getting more little blueberry flowers sort of all throughout this little tiny blueberry bush that I've got. And if I come over here, hopefully, oh gosh, let's just wait for the wind so the camera will focus. It is so blustery today and quite cold. So I just wanted to show you, if I hold them still, hopefully the camera will focus. There you go. Look, my first little blueberries are forming. That is how blueberries start. So the flowers have dropped off and they have been pollinated. And there, that's the little blueberries. So over the coming weeks, these little things will get bigger and rounder, and then they'll start to change colour. So what I will do soon is, I think I'm going to cover them in little sort of bags, similar to what I did with the tomatoes, just to protect the fruit. I'm worried little birds will pull them off, or possums or something like that. And I would very much like to sample my first blueberries. So this is the variety here that I planted. We actually planted this together a few weeks back now. But it is a low chill variety. So if you're living in a subtropical climate like I am, this is a great one, and it doesn't get really big. A lot of the blueberry bushes that I looked at sort of get more the 2 meter mark. So this one's really great for pots. And again, just really good for a subtropical climate. Oop, if I can get that back in there. But yeah, how exciting. My very first little blueberries. Oh, and the other little exciting thing in this cluster, I have started to get beans. Can you see just here? This here is the beginning of a little tiny French green bean. Gosh, it's so small. Put my hand there, will that help? So I've got quite a number of flowers on the green beans now, and I mean, my climbing red spinach is full of flowers, so it's definitely very happy in that position. But I've got, yeah, a number of flowers, so I should be having a delicious supply of French bean greens very soon. The rocket is still going strong, and I am actually going to start using my lemon balm. I think it is pretty much established now, and I'd say this must be the size of the leaves. I don't think they'll get much bigger than this, but that smell is unreal. The lemony smell of it is so strong. So I'm really excited to try it in my morning cups of tea. But you would have seen in the earlier clips, we had torrential rain, absolutely torrential rain. But now, so that was sort of yesterday, but today is gorgeous blue skies. It is a little bit cold now that it has rained. It's sort of, the temperatures have definitely dropped again, but gorgeous blue skies. And if you have watched Wednesday's video, you would have seen that the bare root roses that I ordered online arrived, and we unboxed them together and we started to do the rehydration process together. So it has been a few days now, and today is planting day. So it is definitely rose week in this week's videos, but I am very, very keen to start the planting. Now, again, if you watched Wednesday, look, if you didn't watch Wednesday's video, I highly recommend you go and watch that. But as I said in Wednesday's video, I've ordered 2 bare root roses online, but only one of the spots is ready. So this spot here, I'm going to actually be planting the rose today in there, and I'll take you over there in a moment. But the other rose is actually going in here where this big tree is. That tree is going to come out and the rose is going to go there on this fence. I have a whole vision. Again, watch Wednesday's video and you'll kind of see the whole explanation as to the changes and sort of the transformation that I'm hoping to make with the roses along this back fence. But yeah, so this tree is still there, unfortunately. I'm hoping it will grow out maybe next week. I just need a hand with it. It is much too big for sort of me to do on my own. It is quite an established tree, so hopefully we'll be able to take it out and possibly relocate it somewhere else on the property. But yes, so the other rose will go in there. But I have been doing the rehydration process and that has gone well, but I'm conscious that I can't leave the roses, the bare root roses, in that water too much longer. So today we are going to plant them. So one rose we are going to plant just through here. And so I have cleared all of this now. You'll see it looks quite different to how it looked on Wednesday's video. And you can see the hole down there is ready to go. So sort of just cleared the space, made sure it's getting a good amount of sun, and then eventually it will hopefully obviously climb up there. They are climbing roses. And yeah, so the hole is ready to go, but we will do the next steps all together. And then what I want to do with the other rose today is there's a process called healing in, Heeling, healing in. And because the position isn't ready yet for the second rose, we're going to heal it in by popping it in a pot with some rose sort of potting mix, and we'll leave it there for hopefully only a week, but possibly up to 2 weeks until the other position becomes available. So I'll give you a close look at the roses now. So as you can see, I've just left the roses in this bucket that we prepared together on Wednesday. So I've just been in there that entire time. I've just really kept an eye on the water levels to make sure that the roots stayed moist. But these are the 2 roses. So there's 2 roses here. We have a climbing Cinderella rose, and then the other one is a climbing Sweet Laguna rose. So as you can see, they are bare root roses, and I'm so excited. Both of them already have buds on them starting. So you can see, hopefully you can see down here, just these 2 little buds here have already started. And then if I sort of just pan you around, hopefully the light is not the best for this. I'm just going to move it. There we go. You can see here, can you see all the little pink buds starting? So I'm very, very hopeful that in only a matter of weeks, we might actually get some really spectacular growth on these roses. And maybe by spring, they'll have climbed up a little bit and we will be seeing our first blooms. I can dream. It's maybe too early for blooms this year, but I can definitely dream. I'm so excited. Like I said, I've ordered them months and months ago. I've had a vision for how I want to kind of transform this space. So today the transformation begins. But yeah, so I think what we'll do is, you can see they're just tied together here. So I've got a pair of scissors over there. I'm just going to cut them apart just so I can separate them and sort of just gently separate the roots. And then once I've done that, we will place, I think the Cinderella rose is going to go into this space here, and then the Sweet Laguna I'm just going to pop in this pot here. So particularly while it's healing in, and then even while it's in, you know, even while the Cinderella is in its sort of long-term home, we do need to keep the water up for definitely the first few weeks. So I've just popped this pot here close to the kitchen garden bed so that it's just easy for me to access and water really regularly. But yeah, so I'm gonna cut this apart very, very gently, separate the roots, and then we will start the next process. All right, so I have separated the roses. You can see just in here, that is them. I've separated the roots. They came apart very easily. And I do have, the person you can hear walking around is Mum. I've got Mum here today. The position where these are going is very, very awkward. So she's helping with the planning process so that I can film at the same time. But I will say, I ordered these roses online from Trelaw Roses. And you all know that I'm very much a beginner gardener. So roses, particularly, I mean, I've got a lot of mini roses, but I've never had, I don't think I've ever planted climbing roses or sort of, you know, your normal standard size roses. So Trelaw Roses actually come, when you order, they come with this really handy little guide. So I'm very loosely following the steps. So you can see here, step 1 was rehydration. So we have done that step. We did that on Wednesday. We have now dug the hole. The next step we're going to be doing is making a mound. Now they have a few, they've got these, they mention these products here as sort of recommended products. I don't have either of those, so we won't be using them today. But that is going to be our next step, is making this little mound here, and then we will position the rows on the mound. So let's move on to step 3. I'm not sure if you can see this, obviously the hole's kind of in the shade there, but we have made a very little mound at the bottom of the hole, which was the next step, step 3 I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so we've just done that, sort of just, oops, sorry, just here is the little mound of dirt. Okay, so we have done step 3, we've made the mound. Now the next thing we need to do is trim the roots. It says, if necessary, trim thick roots, leave the fine hair roots, not all roses will need trimming. So having a look at our rose here, oh gosh, sorry, you zoomed in a bit there. So having a look at our Cinderella rose, you can see here, like this to me is a very thick one, as is this one here. So we're just gonna trim those off. Mum, do you want to trim those? Trim it to where? Right at the top, or? Nah, the picture doesn't say that. I would maybe just trim it like to here, yeah. And then similar, maybe just like to, like to, yeah. Okay, so that is her ready to go. And then, once we have done that, you just need to arrange, position it on the mound and like arrange the roots sort of facing down, and then
which side is facing?
No, I don't think so. I guess if you could see the growth points, you don't want it growing towards the fence, you want it growing to, you know, out. The other thing you need to do, can you see, we need to check the depth. So we want to make sure that the soil mark, like the level of the soil that's already on the rose, is under the ground. So we're just going to do that now, and then we will partially backfill the hole. So we have just made sure that the hole is deep enough so that the soil level is even with the top of the hole, and then we have placed the bare root rose on the mound, and then just made sure all of the roots were, you know, pointing down. And so now we're just going to use this rose potting mix, and we're going to partially backfill the hole. Well, the lighting at the moment is definitely not the best because it's kind of sun and shadow, but hopefully you can see the first, so the Cinderella rose is now in. So we've backfilled, we've given it a really good drink of water, and you can kind of see there's that line above it. So hopefully it will grow up to that, and we'll be able to kind of almost like espalier it up along the fence a little bit. That is the plan anyway. So I've said it a million times, but I'll say it again. I am really excited. I hope that they love this position. I've tried to pick roses that had a really good health rating, that would be okay in a subtropical climate. So fingers crossed that, yeah, they're very happy here, and we get lots and lots of flowers. So that one is done, and that is its forever home position here. So we're going to move on to the other one now, and we're going to do the healing in process. So as I said, this is the healing in process. So it does say to dig a large hole, but we're just going to pop it in this pot here. And then not going to go through the whole thing of doing the mound or anything like that, or trimming the roots. What we'll do is just basically fill this pot with rose potting mix to ensure the roots are covered, and then we'll just make sure that we keep it really well watered over the next sort of week or two until that larger tree is moved, and then it can go into its forever home. So the second rose is in its little sort of temporary home, giving it a good drink. But yes, so that are the two roses all kind of bedded down, and you can see, hopefully you can see here, this is like a little new bud, and then on this side here, right here where my thumbnail is another sort of new little bud starting. So hopefully only a matter of weeks before we get some new growth here. Well, on that note, now that I've got both roses kind of, well, one in its forever home and the other in its temporary home, I think I'm going to call the end to this vlog. It has definitely been Rose Week on the channel, with the arrival of the gorgeous climbing roses, and then kind of the rehydration process and doing all of that on Wednesday. And then today we've gone in and we've got one in the forever home, and we've popped the other one in a temporary pot. But even then, just the, oh gosh, the roses, the mini roses I showed you at the beginning of today, just, oh, they're spectacular, those blooms. So gorgeous. So yes, it's definitely been all the rose content this week. But yes, so I'm going to bid you farewell. This is definitely sort of the beginning, I think, of the garden transformation. I've got a lot more pruning back to do, so we will definitely kind of do that together over the next couple of weeks, and that's also going to do like a big transformation in the garden, getting it ready for spring. And then I want to get those fence extenders in, get the roses going up. So there's definitely going to be a lot happening on the channel in the coming weeks. So if you'd like to kind of follow along and watch the transformation and kind of do it together with me, please subscribe. I love having you here, and I love sort of having you as part of my little YouTube community. I'm just coming up here, oh gosh. So this is ginger and turmeric here, so they are definitely ready for harvest. So we'll need to do that together. Maybe next week we'll try and do that. So I definitely think next Wednesday I've got a lot of plants that I need to sort of plant up, and I kind of just want to have a really good potter around the garden. So I will bring you with me next week, and we'll have a little potter about together. It should just be a really lovely sort of slow day in the garden. And then maybe one day next week we will also try and tackle these and get them all harvested. But I came up here because I wanted to show you these sweet little cottage flower blooms. How cute are they? They're from the seeds that we planted together maybe a month or two ago now. But they're very cute, and like, look at these. Isn't that just amazing? What an incredible flower. Anywho, well, I hope you have really enjoyed it and sort of enjoyed following along with getting the roses in and kind of going through the step-by-step process. It is definitely a learning curve. As I said, I've never grown climbing roses before, so I am learning as I go, and I hope you enjoy kind of learning along with me. And would you look over here? I mean, the ground cover roses always look incredible, but this little fella down here little rose is starting to bloom. This is a fitting way to end Rose Week with this gorgeous mini rose blooming, and you can see here I'll have new blooms all through here very soon. So with that gorgeous image to end the video, I'm going to say farewell. I hope you have an absolutely incredible weekend, and I'm going to see you next week. Bye.